of different types of delays. I have some modulations are, tremolo and chorus and flange and some weird stuff that we typically, don't use too often. But
what do you use the most?
what do I use the most?
Yeah.
As far as like the modulations and stuff like that.
Just that, yeah. As far as anything on there.
I like using like flanges and phasers and choruses and univibes and stuff like that. Things that kind of just swirl around a lot, because there's some, like if I was to do like a lot of soundscaping, it would be a lot of reverbs and delays and stuff like that, and a lot of volume swells. So you're not really hearing the guitar so much as you are hearing the volume of what was played. And so when that all comes in and it's all kind of drifting and dancing around and bouncing off of delays and stuff, it gets real dreamy and real trippy, so.
That's cool.
So I kind of play backwards from all that, and sometimes like I have, like, okay, this first patch is like a really big reverb. That big reverb that I had, that sound for one of the songs where we were doing that 60s Ed Sullivan kind of, that thing that we were going for. So I have a big reverb on here and then a smaller reverb here, but with a really super long delay. It's like bam, bam, which I can play with and do different things with. And then the other one's got a slightly larger, this one's got a really low reverb, just like a regular, like what you would do mix on your amplifier or something like that. And then this one has, this one's got a shorter delay and a larger room, not as big as this first one, but bigger than the second one. And then this one has a tremolo on it, mild reverb and mild delay on it. And then that's bank one, and I have 36 banks of different kinds of stuff that I can program or reprogram or whatever. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely.
So you prefer that to like the more traditional pedal board?
No, not necessarily. It's especially when you're playing gigs and stuff like that. This is really convenient because you just bring this and you don't. Although this is pretty much as big as a regular pedal board, anyhow. But I like that it's all built in. I got 2 expression pedals I can do lots of stuff with. But I mean, I like regular pedals too, man. I really do. I'm actually trying to get back into that. However, they're just expensive. Like the ones that I want to use. They're starting out at $2.99.
Wow.
There's very few that are $1.50.
Yeah.
Because I know which ones I want to get, and they're made well, and they're really expensive. So.
Yeah.
So it's hard to make a jump from something like this, which it works. The only problem is that they don't make them anymore, so I got to keep on finding new ones.
Yeah.
They're pretty disposable, but they're good for what they do. So I got another one at home. I got this one. The other one at home is pretty much for parts anymore right now. And then when that one goes completely, all the parts are gone, then I'll probably use this one as parts and find another one. Unless I'm able to, get the different pedals that I want to have. Because I've been doing some big research on that and thought about it. Pretty much, I'd probably spend about $2,300 on a whole new pedal board system, and that's a lot. So it's hard to jump right into.
Totally.
So I'm just kind of taking my time with it. I mean, I know what I'd like to get, and I already have the pedal board like with regular pedals all planned out. It's just, the money to do it is, you got to be real careful when you do it. And I've even saw some that, interesting enough, are already put together. Pedal boards that have a few of the things that I want to have, but not all the things that I want to have. So I don't know. I've been kind of looking at that and going, maybe, because if I did that, then I could take out the stuff that I don't want and just buy the stuff that I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
What about buying like used pedals?
Well, see, that's just the thing. Is like the used pedals, the older pedals, the used pedals are pretty much not what I want, really.
Yeah.
They're just. I want to be on top of like lush sounds and stuff like that. And like, I think that having it's just like your instrument. If you got a crappy instrument, it could be a low grade model. You can make it sound good. That's as far as you gotta go. So it's kind of like with effects as well. It's like you can have, I got plenty of effects over there in that shelf, but I rarely use them. Sometimes I use them, but rarely use them because I'm already thinking about different, more lusher sounds than what they can provide. But if I wanted to get something a little bit more classic or something like that, I'd probably use one of those pedals. But then I can still get it out of here too.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just newer stuff, because like the newer stuff, you start getting a little bit more inventive, you start getting different ideas. It's kind of like buying that first guitar that's, it's expensive guitar. Maybe you drop like $800 on a guitar. Well, then all of a sudden you're inspired, man, because that thing plays like a Cadillac.
That's true.
And so it's the same thing with your foot setup. When you have a pedal board setup, you want to be inspired by the sounds that are in there, or at least inspired by the things that you could do with the pedals or with the sounds that are in there. I've spent I probably sometimes more than just practicing. I spend more time on just tone and what things sound like, or, how I can get it to sound better, or how I can manipulate it to sound even different than what it is. It's like how far can I push the sonic boundaries of what I have.
Yeah.
And
yes.
I've reached my limit. That's why I reached my limit a while ago with this thing, but it just comes in handy for doing a lot of things real fast. But I have a whole slew of other pedals like this blue one that I tack on to it. so it's like I'm carrying around two pedal boards in one pedal.
And what does that other blue one do?
Well, this is just a distortion. It's a 2-channel distortion pedal, and just for different boosts and gains and stuff like that. It's for either leads or for like crunchy tones and stuff.
And what pedal is that?
It's a full drive Mosfet. It's a full tone pedal. They make several different pedals. This one's really nice. It's a brighter tone, and it doesn't take away too much of your signal either, which is nice. And it has more of like a classic amplifier type sound.
Cool.
Easy to work with. And then I got a bunch of loopers and stuff like that. Line 6 pedals and different stuff.